Hi,
Hello,
I'm Braxton,
I'm Zach
and we are
from
Old to New.
Hey, I'm really sorry that we haven't gotten a chance to get back to making some videos. It's been a while. I've been busy with school, but now we're back. It's the beginning of Halloween season, so
We decided, since Halloween Ends is about to premiere next week, we decided to review Halloween
from 1978.
directed by John Carpenter.
Now, this one is very special because this probably is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Like, not just from the slasher and horror genre itself, but it's good as a movie on its own.
Yeah, this is probably my second favorite. Maybe we'll get to cover my favorite this season.
Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the premise is basically this kid on Halloween night in 1963 goes and stabs his sister to death with a knife.
He's later found by his parents and sent to a mental institution for the next 15 years.
Where he then escapes on the night before Halloween to stalk the citizens of Haddonfield.
Now, I noticed like in the beginning, throughout this movie, we saw lots of point of view shots. From the stars, we saw it from the point of view of Michael, like as he's just walking through the house, so you don't know what this is. Like, at first you're like, oh, this is just a serial killer walking into the house. But then, like, when you see him pick up the knife, it's like, wait, is that a costume?
Yeah, you really just don't know anything about it to start with. You're just like, okay, so it's a house, and then you start moving, and so you're obviously like, okay, so we're in the point of view of a person, and then this person grabs a knife, and you're like, okay, so what are they about to do?
Yeah. So like after he escapes, his primary psychiatrist, Dr. Loomis, is immediately like, okay, we need to call the SWAT team, get everybody ready, because this guy is loose.
Yeah, he's like, this guy is pure evil. Like, we need to stop him immediately.
Like, and the way, like, I like how the movie, you said, like, you enjoyed how Donald Pleasance, the guy who plays him, Dr. Loomis, did a great job of portraying Michael as a threat.
Yeah, he does, because, like, he really doesn't, when he's talking to Sheriff Brackett, he's not talking to him as if he was a person. He's saying this thing is out there and he is gonna kill a bunch of people if you don't watch out.
And I think that's kind of interesting because the way he described him, he's like, when I saw him, I saw this pale face with black eyes. Basically, the way we see him with his mask on in the movie, showing, like, you know, this is how Michael truly sees himself. Like, this is how he wants the world to see him, as just a faceless entity of evil.
Yeah, and
like, there are no shots of Michael's face, like, almost at all in this movie, because, like, it's kind of showing, like, you know, it's a way of dehumanizing him. Like, we see him as just this evil threat.
Yeah, and we see it starts out, he's like a stalker, and he's stalking his prey, in a sense.
His main prey being Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, and this was her feature film debut.
And it established her as a horror icon and a film icon in general.
Yes. And so we're getting a lot of stalking point of views, and like it just really is kind of sinister and menacing, because you know something bad is going to happen, but you really don't know what he's capable of or what he's gonna do.
Yeah, it's like we don't know. All we've seen him do so far is just stab someone, so it's like, okay, we know this is what he's capable of, but after 15 years, who knows what else he can do.
Yeah, and it just continues on with Dr. Loomis building him up as like this feared presence of like, this is pure evil, we need to stop him now.
And man, Dr. Loomis seemed like the only person prepared to deal with Michael, because like, not only because he's met with him every day for 15 years, but he's like, okay, here, like, he's got a gun ready in case he needs to shoot him. Plus, like, when they were planning on taking him to his trial, they're like, okay, we gotta numb this guy up so much that he can't even sit up straight.
Yes, and so we get to Halloween night, and so Laurie has to babysit, and like none of the parents are at home. Not her parents, not her friends' parents, not the kids' parents, nobody. She's having to babysit, and what I've noticed, I'm like, this is a long night
Yeah,
And it's like it seems like it'd be a little late
I kind of agree.
for all these parents to come home.
Either that, or it seemed like it'd just be like maybe it's just like it's like making it seem like an extended period of time when actually it's like, or like it's making try to appear like, okay, this may seem like, oh, it's been an hour and a half, and it's like stretching out throughout the night, but it's also like maybe they're trying to condense it, because didn't John Carpenter intend this to be like have a sequel to it to continue like an anthology?
Um, I don't know. At the beginning, I think he's just trying to make it like a movie because this was very, very low budget.
Yeah.
Like this was him and some friends decided. It's almost kind of like The Evil Dead. Just him and some friends decided to make it, but they did look for cast members and stuff, and like they had to film this in like the spring or the summertime. So all of like the dead leaves that are in the street, they had to like collect those from the previous fall, and then for each shot they would spread them out on the street, and then when this take would end, they would have to go recollect all those leaves, which is interesting fact.
That seems like a lot. Like they seem really impressed with budgeting at that point. Like that shows how low budget is. Okay, everybody, we don't have enough money for more leaves. Grab the leaves.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you talk about like how it shows a long period of time, like throughout the movie, like these kids are like watching a movie, a 1950 movie's The Thing, which ironically John Carpenter would go on to direct a 1982 version of later.
Yeah.
And like they're like when they first show it, like it's like, okay, now the horrified conclusion of The Thing, and it's like 30 minutes later, it's still going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either that movie is like the only way that could be possibly make sense is if it's like those old 1950s or 40s movies where they had to do intermissions, like Ben-Hur or the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't think that The Thing would be that long.
Yeah. So like while Lori's busy babysitting like two kids, her friends are off going out having fun, and one of her friends ends up getting killed like in her car.
Yeah, and like this loud car horn, and they somehow don't hear it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Either the music, they're probably just thinking, oh, someone must have. It's like, oh, it must be the TV or something.
It's like this car is in the garage across the street from the house that they're in.
So that's a very soundproof garage, or they're just like not focused on it.
Yeah.
And I also like they did an interesting detail, like when she got when she originally went to the car, she's like, oh, it's locked. She goes back inside, grabs her keys, come back, opens the car door without even turning the key, showing that he already got into the car. But also, like, the windows inside were so fogged up because all he does is just like...
Yeah, he just breathed. Which, you point that out as if she didn't really know. She kind of does notice a little bit. Like, when she's wiping, she kind of looks like... She kind of has that, wait, wasn't the door just locked? Kind of look. But then she gets killed.
Yeah. And
so...
After that, Lori's other friend and her boyfriend shows up. They spend the night at their house, and the boyfriend gets killed, and Michael kills Linda as well. I've also noticed that Michael is very patient and truly prepares for his kills in this one.
Yeah, he's very much kind of more like an animal than a human being. And I think that's kind of what they try to go for.
Like he's an animal stalking his prey.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, he's stalking and he's being very patient and then waiting for the right moment to go in for the kill.
There's also like moments like he could have like come in and killed these people like at certain points out of this movie. Like there were like so many points where they were alone outside and they're like, okay, you had like an opportunity to kill that person, but you're like, oh no, not the right time yet.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was interesting. Not until the end, he never killed anyone when any of the kids were around.
Yeah, but I mean that could just be coincidence, circumstance.
And then, you go.
But yeah, he just goes and he pretty much kills off all of Laurie's friends, and they finish the movie and they've carved like a jack-o'-lantern.
Wait, we're skipping over like something. Eventually, Laurie goes over to like check up, like, wait, what the heck's going on? Like, nobody's answering the phones. So they goes in. She finds that Michael Myers. She finds like all of her friends dead, like in the one room, and Michael eventually chases her down. Like, and again, like it shows like his preparedness. Like while she was up there looking around, he like locked all the doors, made it so that like she couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And the way she gets out of her situations is very practical, like an actual way a person could get out of a situation like that. She's she smashes a window to kick the door out.
Yeah, it's trying to show how resourceful she really is with a whole lot of things, where as like all these other characters are just pretty much there to get killed.
Yeah.
She's very like resourceful and smart, and she's like, okay, so I can't get out, smash the window, move the rake, now I can get out.
Yeah. And then so like when she finally gets back to the house where all the kids are, she immediately thoughts, okay, you kids go upstairs, hide, do not come out at all.
Yeah.
And then Michael comes into the house, and you immediately think oh, she got the drop on him so quickly. Then immediately we turn into it goes from a slasher film to a supernatural film in a complete 180 instantly.
Yeah, and I love the music that's composed by John Carpenter.
Yes,
every piece of the score in this movie fits perfectly with the scene that's happening. So it's like you have the stalking music, so you kind of have a little creepy kind of music, and then you have
the opening thing
yeah, you have the classic theme, and then you have the chase scenes where it's dun dun and stuff like that. It fits perfectly with this movie.
And eventually, we get a final confrontation between Michael and Laurie, where she thinks she gets the drop on him again, but then he comes out.
Yeah, it really shows how Michael can take a lot of damage, because he gets stabbed in the neck with a
sewing needle.
Yeah, with a sewing needle, and then he gets stabbed in the stomach with his own knife.
And stabbed in the eye with a coat hanger.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Loomis noticed the kid's finally running out, trying to get help, and he's okay, he's definitely here.
Yeah.
Also, there was a scene he's waiting at Michael's house all night, and then he's suddenly looks down the street. He's wait a minute, isn't that the car he stole?
Yeah, it's
how do you not notice that car?
That is a little strange. This is supposed to take place over a couple of hours, and he just now turns around and finds this car, and he's been sitting there for probably 30 minutes to an hour.
So when he notices the kid's running, he immediately goes into the house prepared. And as Laurie's fighting Michael, she pulls his mask off. Finally, the only time we actually get a full view of his face, other than when he was a kid.
Yeah, I think that's how it is in almost the whole series.
Yeah. The only other time we see him take off his mask, it's only we see parts of his face, or his face just completely covered in darkness.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because in the scenes where we seen him kill, at the beginning of the movie when we saw him kill, he didn't kill his sister until he put on his clown mask. And then when he when he broke out, he didn't start killing anyone until he got his mask. And when he got his mask removed, it's he immediately had to stop and put it back on.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be a metaphor for evil doesn't have. It's trying to say that evil really doesn't have a face, maybe, and then he's supposed to be this faceless killer. And I guess that's why they decided to go with a white mask, which, by the way, is a Captain Kirk from Star Trek mask that was painted white.
And ironically, they would use that mask again, an actual version of the mask later in the next movie as kind of
Yeah, they used the same mask in the second one, I think.
And eventually, Dr. Loomis catches up to Michael and immediately just shoots him with all 6 bullets until he falls off the roof.
Yeah.
And then he looks down oh my god, where'd he go?
Yeah, but at the same time, you say he looks where did he go? He also kind of has that I figured this would happen.
And of course.
He's not real surprised that he got up and just walked off.
And then after that, we suddenly just start moving to a bunch of establishing shots with just Michael's heavy breathing in the background, which I think was a nice touch because it adds his looming sense of okay, he can now be anywhere, lurking in the shadows around either in this house or his house or anyone's house.
Yeah, it's he could be anywhere, and then you get the famous Halloween theme at the end, and then that's the movie.
Yeah. Again, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's a cult classic. I always try to watch this every October.
And so, I think I'd give it a 10.
I give it a 10 too, yeah. And we're really looking forward to seeing how this story will come to a conclusion next week.
Yeah. So
Here's hoping it's a good ending.
we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.